Hello and welcome to the Real Life Show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jonathan. This is a platform where we get to engage, interact, learn from icons, gurus, moguls, trendsetters, trailblazers, difference makers, and world changers. You know what I'm talking about. And today, I like to use the almost similar terms. It's a different day. I'm excited, but how am I going to describe this moment? It's going to be an enlightening moment because I've got a special guest. He's an HR expert, businessman, and author of this book right here that's making noise and trending and making waves. Become Unstoppable. And if you want to be unstoppable this year, 2023, then this is your moment. This is your chance, and your time is now. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Yangeni, Chendela. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
No, I'm doing fine.
Okay, is it part of your brand to just look neat and smart and on point?
No, it's a Saturday. I was hoping a good colleague was going to take me for some chilangamli or some wedding. Yeah. So I'm always ready.
You're ready to spend some money. No. Can you just direct some of that cash? Just drop some hundreds here, boss.
I had some presentation in the morning, but you told me you wanted us to have this in the afternoon.
Yes.
And I made sure that I think the jacket was somewhere, because when you are invited by the king, you have to make sure that you are ready.
You present yourselves accordingly.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. You're welcome. This is the Real Life Show. It's a platform for inspiration, encouragement, and just, people giving practical steps that change and transform lives. I've been listening to you. I was reading your books. I was amazed at the information that's in there.
Thank you.
And I said, I need that man on my show just for him to come and fire us up, charge us up, for 2023 and share some nuggets, that people can use just to change their lifestyle. So you come from a humble background. You don't like talking about it because you feel, I don't know why. Why don't you like talking about your humble background though?
I know it's some people may take it in two folds.
Yeah.
Others will take it that maybe he's not so proud of his background that he rarely talks about it.
Yeah.
But on the other fold, I try not to use it to get some sympathy from somebody. Because if you go through, even in my book, which we'll touch later, I believe to say, regardless of where you're coming from, you can always make it. Yes, some backgrounds are so hard that you may not have an opportunity, but there comes a time in life that your background matters less.
Yeah.
Now you have to compete favorably.
Yeah.
I think you agree with me when you go to university. There are friends of ours who went to private schools all their lives. But at the end of the day, when you're at the university, I think that matters less. It's how much you put in and how much you're fighting. That's why I just love to leave it that way. But I come from a family of 10. I think that should be noted. 5 ladies, 5 gents.
Yeah.
And I think an average family in Lusaka is like 2 or 3. So coming from a family of 10 and born in a rural area called Isoka, which is 950 km from here, I think comes with its own challenges. And one of those, maybe I would just quickly cite, is that some people were privileged that from grade 1 to 7, they could use English as a form of communication. But some of us, unfortunately, we only came to learn about it when we went to grade 8. And being raised in the same district, you do your grade 1 up to 7 in the same district. You do grade 8 up to 12 in the same district. Has all these limitations. Probably the furthest you see is when you see a plane flying. Then you just
Did
say,
you used to
"Oh,
clap?
of course."
Because
Of
when I was in Calabo those days, a long time ago, when you see a plane, you gather somewhere and just come and watch it.
Exactly.
You know?
And it will be very far, but
Yeah.
that will inspire you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe during elections, you have these helicopters from ZAF and the likes,
Yeah.
and it would land maybe it's 5-6 km from where you are, but you have to go to that ground just to go watch it. So those are some of the moments that are so dear. Now when we look back and say, oh, okay, that was the experience on its own.
Wow.
Sure.
How was your basic school in high school in terms of performance? Were you an A+ student?
Okay, I should say, wherever you are, in as much as you say you're coming from, I don't like to use the word poor background. I say less privileged. Yeah, because as much as you may say you're less privileged, you've got certain privileges within that standard that you would appreciate. I think I've had my own fair share in terms of my performance.
Yeah.
I think I've always been among the top 5. Sometimes top 3. Let me just say top 2, top 1 most of the time. I think from grade 1 to 7, I always found myself having the number 1 position. Only once I remember grade 7, term 2. I don't know, whatever happened, there's a lady that managed to beat me, and I've never forgotten that. That's when it came to me to say, oh no, you don't need to be too comfortable.
Yeah.
Because we all got used. You know those things at assembly when they go, oh, Yangeni, Chendela, number 1. You always been A. Those days they used to grade us when you are A, B, C. So you have class A. That's for those students who are okay.
Yeah.
Class B.
Class B, yes.
Those that are fairly. Yes. Then class C. It will be for those that. And that was discriminatory, by the way.
Yeah.
Because if people were blended, even those that who were put in class C probably could have done better.
Yeah,
but now because they were getting all the creme de la creme and put them in A and giving us a lot of competition at the expense of our colleagues.
What was the driving force for you to become number 1 in class as a child? I want to understand your perspective then. Was it because your parents told you should be number 1, or it was a good feeling, or you're just gifted with intelligence?
I think it's a combined factors. One thing I think I've already mentioned, that I come from a background where we're 10, now we're 7, 3 are gone. If you look at that number, it's not a small number. You needed to fight for resources. So even within your family, you've got competition. And I've always been with a twin brother, so there was always that competition. But I wouldn't say then I was enlightened to say I needed to fight to become a number 1. I would be lying. It's now maybe when you are in grade 8, 9, 10, that's when you start realizing, say, actually, that was a special gift. Those days, I think there was no talent nurturing. So even if a student or a pupil passes grade number 1 or 2, they'll just say, mano, mano. And even the parents, literally, I've seen here in Lusaka where the parents are helping the kids to do the homework or just to push them, escort them to school. I'll be honest, I don't remember my parents escorting me to school. I don't know even if you were ever taken to school.
No. I used to walk alone there.
Exactly.
Push myself.
Exactly. Even when I remember we had some floods where we used to learn in just outside a tree. That didn't even click. That was struggling, because I think for 2 years, grade 5, grade 4 and 6, we used to learn from outside because classes were few. Because you have these classes like from 06 to I think 10 hours, another 10 hours to about...
under a tree.
Yes, under a tree. So you needed to share those spaces. It didn't really click. It's now when I see the pupils in that environment,
comfortable environment,
then that's when you see that, no. Actually, we were struggling.
There was something wrong.
Because, when you are struggling and you've never seen another person who can... live in these modern classrooms. I've gone to certain classes. You're wondering, are these pupils or are they from the university? Because their classes are even way better than some universities. That's when it clicks to say, no. It was a rough background.
You had an interesting father. who had an interesting poster in the house. Can you talk about that poster?
Okay, so I have a lot of admiration for my father. It's very much there.
Yeah.
This year is 72 years. Mom is about 60, 65. We were 10.
Yeah.
And I'll keep reminding you this number.
Yes.
Because you and I, if somebody tells us even to have 6 children,
I'm scared, man. I'm
exactly. Even 3, of course, saying, no, that's too much.
Yeah.
So what I really appreciate now, which I didn't see then, was that having 10 children, and if my father and my mother allowed us to have the freedom, which I've seen parents of today giving to the kids, I think he was not going to manage us. So for him to manage us, he made it very clear that there was no freedom in the house. Yeah? And it's not that he was a dictator. Then we thought like that, but now I'm able to appreciate it. He made it very clear, and he bought this poster, very nice posters. In this house, you live by my rules. I did not apply for you to be my child.
My children,
It just happened. And you know where you're looking at it? Dad, I'm your child. You're supposed to. But now, looking at it 20, 30 years down the line, then you realize to say, okay, I've seen it from my own siblings, how their kids have the freedom. So if one day wakes up, somebody says, I want pizza. Another one says, no, I want shawarma. And another one says, no, I want KFC. Now, if 10 of us had that freedom to be saying he was not going to manage. So now this is when you realize actually it was a defensive mechanism he was using to manage us. And here we are.
and one thing I love about that story and what you pick from there is what you say, you feel every help that you get from outside is a privilege.
Absolutely.
And you don't deserve it.
Absolutely.
And this is what I tell people. If you get privileged to be helped by anyone, you should be grateful. You should be grateful. You should be thankful because you don't deserve it. Anything that you need to achieve in life, you've got to work for it, right? So I love that story. And I was smiling when I was listening to it because I strongly believe in that myself.
Okay.
But talking about your ambitions in life, at what point did you feel this is not the life that I want to live? I want a different lifestyle and I want to become this and that. What period of...
Okay. I have been asked this question and, it's strange. Growing up, I've never at that moment when you sit down, most people had career advice and they'll be told what you want to become. Okay. One thing I've always said, even up to today, is that I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be a manager, but I didn't know to manage what and who. Exactly. And there was nowhere you could get information. I should tell you one thing which is very interesting. We only had these cell phones, the network. It only came in 2006 in Isoka. So all along, we didn't have the network. Not just the network. We didn't have ZNBC. We used to watch ITV from Tanzania. So most of our things, we're watching it from Tanzania. And I think there should be a place down in Isoka who are still watching things from Tanzania as well as Malawi. That's how, sometimes when you hear we're talking about it, you think this is just a story. But this is you who's living in Zambia. And you have no opportunity to watch ZNBC. It only came in 2006. And if you rewind 2006, this is very recent. So we didn't have this drive to see what success means. That's why even when it comes to music inspirations, we were inspired by East African musicians. That's what we watched. The Nafanda area of this world. We didn't have the Diamonds. We had this Mr. Nice. Rafiki guy. So, because that's what we were watching. So if you ask me at what point did I just decide that this is what I wanted to be, I think I would pick it when I was picked at the university. Now, the school which I was founding, I was supposed to be in education. Okay? Now, when I called my father and I told him about this progress, he was not convinced because for him, the picture we had in the district was these teachers who would only get paid at month end and spend their money, and they didn't have a life, I think. The perception of a teacher has changed a lot now. But in the village, it hasn't changed much because they sort of have this same
It's
lifestyle.
the same routine.
And my father didn't know that getting to do a bachelor in education didn't mean that you become a teacher. But that's what we just knew, that you become a teacher. So for me, communicating this back to him and being asked to drop out of uni because he felt this was not the life that I wanted, I think it started shaping me. But there's one
He told
person...
you to drop out of school?
Yes, because
Why?
he said, you can't become a teacher.
What did he want you to become?
You can become something different, because he saw my ambitions were quite high. Yeah, so he felt, no, that would limit my ambition.
Okay.
But I have this one person that has really helped me in terms of who I am. That's my elder brother. His name is Clement. So Clement, earlier in his career, went to the same school with now Mr. Mulenga Mikalide. You guys know him as Mr. Mikalide. Yeah, but he's Stephen Mulenga. So they went to the same school. They grew up together. They spent their childhood together. So even when they started the business, Clement worked with Mr. Mulenga for a very long time. So first time I came in the city, I was staying where Clement was staying with Mr. Mulenga.
Wow. So you are exposed to all the riches.
Now this is a very different stage now in life. So you come to visit your elder brother, and now you find them, they stay at this house. And you don't know how people work. So all you see is that we stay at this house in Woodlands, and this is my elder brother, and he tells you, this is your brother as well. So that's where now the link came in. So having stayed there, and these people are not talking about school. They're talking about business. Every day.
Yeah.
I think it changed the perception of my life.
Wow.
So from that, I believe to say, to be successful, it's possible you need to wake up at 05. Because I saw these people waking up at 05. I saw them coming home at 22. Trucks would come home, would be offloading trucks, just doing the manual work. And now when we're doing holidays, now I'm in grade 9, 10, we're doing holidays, we'll be asked to work in the shops. And just look at the money aspect. I think now the drive to become successful was just now at a different level.
Wow. Wow. What did you study?
Now, I studied human resource now.
Yeah. You have a degree in human
I
resource.
have a degree in human resource, but I started with a certificate in human resource from NIPA, which I did for 6 months. I went on to do a diploma, which I did for 2 years. I later on did a degree in human resources. I'm currently enrolled for a master's in philosophy in labor laws.
Yeah.
Great
stuff.
Sure.
Doing massive things. Let's talk about the book, Become Unstoppable. What was the inspiration behind this book?
Okay. There's a lot of inspiration in this book.
And by the way, you call this a manual for life.
Exactly. This is not a motivational book. Everybody just talks about, I'm meeting a motivational speaker. No.
Yeah.
If you've gone through it, you agree with me that this is a life manual.
I love it.
Yeah. The inspiration. I've been in human resource for the last 14 years now.
Wow.
And it's quite a long time. And there's been moments, what I call big moments, and there have been low moments in the HR. One of my big career moves came in when I joined my current employers. That was in 2018. So having worked in all these places, and I thought I was equipped to become this manager. So going to a corporate organization, I was exposed to a different language altogether. So with the street background, I spent a lot of time on the street, by the way, because I was running a barber shop, I was running a pool table, I was running a popcorn machine. For me, having learned how those people are making money, I was so convinced that I needed just to make money. I've slept in a shop before. Like this, when you see these Rwandanese guys, before they came in, we had those small shops were happening in Kalingalinga. So I could do that, because there's no explanation to the feeling of making your own money. Even if it's 50 kwacha, 100 kwacha, you can't explain that to anybody. So coming back to the inspiration to this book, I had never had a formal performance appraisal in my life. Most organizations, they'll talk about, we have performance systems here, we review performance, but in a real sense, they don't do. It's not there. It's just on paper. So this was the first time I went in an appraisal, and my supervisor was telling me, Yangeni, you're doing good, but you have to improve your grammar. And for me, this was a big word. and not knowing exactly the definition of grammar. So I just thought, what is she talking about? So when I went in, she told me, you keep missing certain things, your spellings, your what, you just have to improve. If you don't improve, you may not have a job at this place. So that was a huge challenge, because you can imagine you've worked for 8 years, 9 years, and you feel like, I'm there.
Yeah, you're there.
I've got some young people, they only work for 2, 3 years, and they already think I'm tired.
Yeah.
But by that time now, I'd worked for 8 years, 9 years. Then somebody tells you, you have to improve. Yeah. It was a big blow to myself, but I took it very positive. So I went online and I asked, how can you improve your grammar? And one of the recommendations which came was, you needed to read more, research more. So I took the aspect of reading. So I started reading 1 book a month. It went to 2 books a month, until I was able to do 4 books in a month. So during this period, I started saying, because prior to that, I was writing things on social media, but it was not well organized. Now, when I started reading, and some of the books I read were very good books, and others I could even say, I have better content than this. My first book, by the way, which was supposed to come out, was Love is a Beautiful Thing. Because this is a series I was running almost every week. I was just talking about how love is a beautiful thing. And I remember pages like I Do Zambia, My Kitchen, there's a page online, My Kitchen Party. They used to run those posts I would do. So they gave me that energy to do it. But my performance appraisal feedback is what inspired me now to put notes to say, oh, okay, I can write something and use my limitation and become something that I can benefit from.
What are you telling people in this book?
I've covered, if you know, the human being in totality, right? I call it the human being in totality. That's why I refuse that it's not a motivational book. I've covered what I talk about as in self-development, which talks about you as a person. Before an employer or before any person, there's you, Jonathan. That's one thing that I've covered in the book. Then I've also, in my last 13 years of work as a human resource, I've come across how people's money has just been going towards servicing debts. Okay? This is a big problem that we have in this country, the cancer of debt. So I thought this is a topic that nobody wants to talk about it. I have to address it as Yangeni. So I've also talked about how can you manage your finances? How do you become independent financially? Is it even possible? So I'm talking about your finances as a human being. Then I've realized that everybody wants to be the most sought after person. Whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether talk about anything, you want to know, how can I be the most sought after person? So I've covered that element in my book as well. Then anchored to this is about building relationships. What has made us to meet here is a relationship that we have. That's very true. The person behind the camera is a relationship that we have. So how can we build those relationships? And that is coming in chapter 4. Beautiful chapter. Some of my mentors have gone to that chapter and I've seen it. I've spoken about one thing, that don't avoid a call from a person that you don't know, because you never know. Opportunities sometimes are wrapped in those unknown callers. Then finally, I've made some easy steps on what I say, how you can become unstoppable. But becoming unstoppable doesn't mean that you have to be naive. A train is coming, and because I've been told I'm unstoppable, then I just face it. No, it's about weighing your risks and ensuring that you're brave enough and able to write your story.
Great stuff. So you're calling them the 50 magic lessons to maximize your hidden potential. I would love to call them 50 principles of life.
Okay.
When I was reading them, I looked at them. These are practical principles that you can apply in life, and you can become successful. I came across 3 things which I would love you to just explain in detail. That touched my heart. And I
hope they will be the same ones which touched me.
I hope someone is also going to tap into these 3. There are 50. There are 50, but I picked 3. Preparation. I want you to talk about the power of preparation, because in this book you say most people are looking out for an opportunity, but are you prepared for that dream
that you want?
Yes. Can you talk about that a little?
Okay, I've given a story of two people in that book. I remember very well. There's Shazy and Lexi. So
Yeah.
these are people that leave university and they come into a professional work environment. Lexi decides to get a driver's license, decides to get a passport. Not that there's a trip, not that there's any opportunity, but she just feels, I need to get these things.
Yeah.
When she goes to Carol says, no, my job is just of a receptionist. I don't need a passport. I don't need a driver's license. 6 months down the line, COVID hits this organization. And what happens? They stream down some departments. Some people are let go. But they say the only people who can be kept are those that can do more than two things. So what happens?
Yeah.
Lexi, who just prepared herself with a passport and a driver's license, ends up being retained in this organization. That's about preparation. Most of us are looking for opportunities without laying a foundation where those opportunities would come. Should you have a driver's license when you own a car? That's a question I would like to ask a person who's listening.
Yeah.
Or do you need a passport when you be told about this trip?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
No.
You need to have a passport ready all the time, with or without a trip. So that's why preparation, for me, it opens the book actually. It's my introduction. I talk about this. For all those things you are praying for, even the kids that you are praying for, even the job that you are praying for, the question is, are you preparing yourself in advance? Because that opportunity may come anytime.
That's powerful. I love that because, most times people aim higher and they want to be put in positions of certain statuses.
Yeah.
But the question always is, do you have the capacity to maintain?
Absolutely, to maintain that. I have said it. The most difficult thing in Zambia is not having a job, finding a job.
Yeah.
Any person can give you a job even today.
Yeah.
But the most difficult is retaining that job.
Yeah.
And that's where preparation comes in. Most people have rushed, they've been given big contracts, even construction contracts, but them maintaining that job by giving us a proper road, that's where the problem is. So we have to prepare, not just to be seeking for opportunities without preparing, are we ready to execute those opportunities?
It reminds me of one thing that I heard from Daniel Kawani. He once said there are some youths who are, he says, he calls them unemployed, unemployable youths. You are not employed, but you can not even be
employed at all. Yeah, because the skills that you have cannot take you anywhere. I think it's just a conversation I recently had where I was saying, the problem we have, I think you've heard about issues of unemployment and employment. I've touched it briefly in my book. The problem is not the current graduates that we have.
Yeah.
The problem we have is the skills that people are getting. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Employment is there.
Yeah.
Even right now, the UK is looking for people. Accountants are in short in Zambia. Auditors are in short in Zambia. But the question is, how many people are pursuing those courses? And it all comes back to the choice of how we get to university. In Zambia or in Africa, unfortunately, it's about availability of resources.
Yeah.
If money is available for you to do nursing or for you to be sent for teaching, you will go there. Yeah. Even if, I tell people, we all know that 100,000 teachers are pending on the list.
Yeah.
And today you still have the guts to send your child to
go
and do school. When you know that the 100 are waiting,
Yeah.
okay, that's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Because we have to finish that bunch before your child will be employed. But this is not a conversation a parent wants to hear. There is no mutume nchabe aende. That's why we can't blame the system, because we're able to see. You've seen that it will be about to start raining there. Then you say, I'll just go without an umbrella. It's not rocket science.
Great stuff. Awesome. Number two, one issue I want you to touch on is making peace with your past.
Absolutely. Because
in this book we say sometimes our past hinder us from the things that we want to progress or what we want to achieve. Dive into that just a little bit.
Okay. I've said that some people, unfortunately, have an elephant memory to bad experiences. There are people that no matter how good you are, they will still refer back to something that you did wrong.
The bad thing.
The bad thing. Elephants have been known to have this power of memory, such that even after 20, 15 years, they are able to track the route which they used. Unfortunately, some people have inherited this kind of what? Memory. In life, Jonathan, bad experiences are bound to happen. You may lose a job. You may lose a spouse. You may lose your dog. You may be hit by a car. These are part of life. But that does not stop us from appreciating the good that life comes with. Okay? Now, some people are still living, I've put, I know it's a joke in there to say, some people are still worried or they're still mad with a friend who stole their pencil or pen when they were in primary school. Okay?
Yeah.
This is unfortunate
Yeah.
because you are failing to move on over a pen and a pencil. And hear me very well. I'm not trying to trivialize the bad experiences that people go through.
Yeah.
I think I've given an experience where my own sister was wrongly diagnosed by a clinic here in Lusaka. She was anemic. Then they thought this is malaria. Okay? And what did they do? They gave her medication for malaria when what she needed was blood. Within an hour or two, the situation changed. And unfortunately, a life was lost.
Wow.
I know about cases where a doctor was being told, no, look at the scan. The operation is supposed to be from the left ear, but he proceeds and operates from the right ear. These experiences are real and people have died, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that does not stop us from appreciating the good that comes from other people.
Yeah.
Why have I stressed this point? Because somebody, let's say you have a friend, Lloyd, and he made a mistake to you, then you start projecting the same name when you see it in another. That's why I've argued to say, please, don't allow, because you dated a Misozi or a Vanessa or a Betha, now whichever Betha you see, you start seeing that
The
person.
same traits.
Exactly. You're being unfair.
Yeah.
People change and people are different. But we know that thing. When you just see a certain names, you just like there's a name that I don't want to say it here. In HR, when we started HR, there was a name that was very famous.
Really?
I think that was Henry Kapoko. He was the first HR that was working for the Ministry of Health, and I think he did great things. But that was the case on Henry Kapoko. So whenever you hear Kapoko in HR, we would associate it to that.
Yeah.
It's done too recent that we forgot about that name.
Yeah.
So you don't need to let the past affect you.
Yeah.
Sure.
The third thing I would like you to touch on, which caught my attention, was how to become the most sought after individual in an organization.
Okay.
Yeah. Since you are the HR expert, you
absolutely.
employ people,
Yeah.
you promote people.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, how can I be
The most
the person that the organization will say, even if we fire all these guys, Jonathan must
we
remain?
need to keep this gentleman.
Yeah.
It's very simple. 2023, if you go online right now, the world always, we have top 10 skills that the world looks at.
Okay.
What is it that people will be looking at?
Yeah.
And if you went today, among the top skills that people are looking at, it's leadership, communication, problem solving, and analytical thinking. Okay? So, one of them which stands out so much is problem solving.
Okay.
The employer comes to seek an employee when they have a certain problem.
Yeah.
If their IT space is not giving them what they want, then they'll be looking on the market for a person who can sort out those problems. So, to become the most sought after person, you should be a problem-oriented person. In short, you should be the go-to person. You should be a solution provider.
Yeah.
And this is where most people miss it out. They'll put nice things on the CV and other things.
Decorate it.
I call it overhyping your CV. You can use any grammar that you know, the Queen's language. But if you can't sort problems in an institution, and I think I've been put it in my book, I've gone in further to say it matters less how many hours you can spend doing something. But if you still get it wrong, it doesn't give you any credit to the employer. So if I have to summarize it, what can make you the most sought after person? Become a problem solver. That's all. And what do we mean by problem solvers? Whenever there's an issue in an organization, be the first one to research and bring some solutions. Employers don't like individuals who come with one solution because they will think you are directing them or you are driving them. Go with 3 solutions, minimum 3. That's why even quotations, when you're getting quotations, employers will tell you, bring how many? 3. Okay, so this is what they're looking for. So they're looking for a person that's going to identify a problem and go with a solution. There's a story I talked about my mentor who was sending emails to somebody in Europe, actually in USA, and there was no response from those emails. The only person, when they tried to call them, say, why are you not responding to my emails? Is it because I'm black? That's why you can't respond to me. Then they said, all in your emails, you're just identifying problems. You've not outlined the solutions. We hired you to provide solutions to those. Unfortunately, the generation we have, people just have identified the water is not flowing here, the kettle is hot in here. Listen, now the question is, what are you doing to sort out those things? To be the most sought after person, you've got to provide solutions. That's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's 3 out of 50. 3 out of 50 principles of life, according to me. So, where can people find this book?
Okay, I've been a little bit selfish on this book. I've been selling on my own. I'm selling it for 250. This year, I plan to roll it out in Grey Matter and Book World. The thing is simple. I've got a sufficient audience now that we have got online platforms. I've sold over 1,000 copies online without a physical store. But if I was to put them in physical stores, I'll be losing 35% of revenue from these things. So, and in the process, I've also created employment for bikers. I think the person who delivered this book is a biker. So you can imagine, for me to roll out 1,000 copies, how many bikers have I given employment to? So that's the kind of direction that I was looking at.
Great. So you keep us updated on how people can get it.
So you find it online. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So every time I put a post, I put a link on my book so that you can have it. And we deliver it. And we are happy if we're in your location. We'll sign it and take a picture with you, and we'll continue spreading positive news.
As we wind up, I would like us to get into the real life questions, which I ask all my guests.
Okay.
And I want you to answer these questions
swiftly
and honestly. What are your driving forces in life?
I hate poverty at all costs. So the fear of poverty helps me to drive and to wake up very early in the morning.
What are your core values in life?
Honesty and integrity. I think these two speaks to me.
Biggest accomplishment you are most proud of?
The biggest accomplishment, I think, is marrying the wife that I have. For me, I know most people keep asking me, is that not just normal? I said, no, it's not normal. I think your wife can break or make you. So that could be the biggest accomplishment. I don't think, maybe owning a house, the house that I live in, but I think it cannot be equated to the kind of spouse that I have. I can see he's still not believing me. You can see that.
Well, I'll need to call you for another interview so to just talk more about your wife.
Okay. Please do.
Biggest failure in life, and how did you learn from it?
I have to think. I think it was maybe when I failed a course in uni. Like I told you, all from my childhood. I think I was an A+ student. And I failed a course, and I saw people graduating and leaving me behind. I think that hit me so bad.
Most important thing you've learned in life so far?
With time, everything falls in place.
In place. Wow.
No matter how long it takes. If you are an exceptional performer, you always have something. Even if people may speak against you, there will be that one person in the room who will be able to mention your name.
If you could turn back the time and speak to the 16-year-old Yangeni, what would you tell him?
The only thing that I can tell you right now, Yangeni doesn't regret most of the things that he does. If you go even in my family, I don't have much resources. But if I say today I'm going to be in Zanzibar, I'll make sure I make it happen. I don't live for tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. I try to live, like even when you told me, come here on a Saturday, I needed to be here. Come rain, come sun. So I wouldn't want to say, I wish I didn't. I feel every day I spend, I try to spend it as much as I would have loved it to be.
If you were to have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
That's a tough one. I think, to be very fair and honest, there's one thing that keeps hitting me all the time. And you said 3 people. Actually, it's my 3 late sisters. My young sister, the one who was coming after me, Chola. My elder sister, Peacemaker. And my other elder sister, Melvis. They died, especially these 2, just when I was about to get married. And we came from this background that we had limited resources. Now, being where I am and being able to afford certain things, I would have loved to share this joy with them.
Talk to me about, just briefly highlight maybe 2, 3 mentors.
Okay, mentors, the approach I've taken with mentors basically is you can be my mentor even if you've never spoken to me. If I watch your life, I see how you do your things, I'll be learning from you. Okay? I've had a lot of inspirational authors. I'll talk about Robin Sharma. I've never met Robin Sharma, but I've read 10 of his books. All my leadership skills that I've accumulated, most of it I've learned it from him. But locally, let's say in Zambia, I have people like Dr. Cholo, the one who runs Success Practitioners. I like how much he believes in his people. I've called him on certain instances when I was launching my book, where I said I would want, let's say, Felix, the late Felix Mkani to come, because like he was my mentor, Felix, but I'd never met him until the day of my book launch. I'd met him in Livingston at a function, but I didn't know him. But until when he came to my book, but he was my mentor from afar. So I take people like Pastor Cholo as somebody that is able to connect you and open so many doors for me. But in terms of mentorship, I get to be mentored by a lot of people. Some may not even know, but I just admire their lifestyle. In terms of my business skills, I've learned a lot from Mr. Mlenga Stephen, who's my career. His attitude to life, how he wakes up, how he does things. It's just amazing.
What would you say is your favorite book of all time?
A Leader Without a Title by Robin Sharma. He argues in that book that you don't need to have a title. You could be a cleaner. You could be a gardener. You don't need a title for you to be a leader. Regardless of your position in life, you can always lead if you just decide you can lead.
On a lighter note, what do you do in your free time?
That's why I think you should invite me with my wife. I spend a lot of time with my wife. I think she's in my free time most of the time. I read a lot of books. I used to sing at some point.
Really?
Yes, I used to sing.
What about
I know we will talk about that later. No, I think every human being, they've sang something before.
I used to rap.
It's just, you see that. It's just that people never went in the studio and recorded.
Yeah.
So I used to sing. But I've been reading a lot.
Yeah.
And most people talk about charity. You know, I do, but I do that.
Okay.
I've got a budget and time when I do those things. So.
Nice. Your last words to the people that get to be inspired by Yangeni.
Until the lion knows how to ride, the hunter will always carry the story, or the story will always be in the hands of the hunter. Until you are able to carry yourself or believe in yourself, the perception of who you are will always be determined by the people. Don't hold yourself. Don't let other people write your story. In my book, I've said, if you'll be given a chance to write the story of your life, don't allow another person to to hold the pen, to be typing. Let it be you, because you're gonna put all the details for yourself. The moment you allow other people to write your own story, then it no longer ceases to be your story. Become unstoppable.
I believe that I am unstoppable. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we do on the Real Life Show. You know how I do it. I just bring you the best that you need and the best that you deserve. I believe that your life will never be the same. See you in the next episode. Bye. Take care.